Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Sober Yoga Girl podcast. I'm sitting here with one of my former 200-hour yoga teacher training students, Jaimy, who is actually coming back to Bali this fall for the 300-hour yoga teacher training. And we were messing around with things, trying to get on Facebook Live in the Sober Girls Yoga Facebook group. I've just given up. So we're releasing this later on, but we did really want to connect with all of you today and just kind of share a little bit about Jaimy's inspiring journey around the world and what's led her to Bali for her yoga training. So welcome, Jaimy. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you for such a lovely invite. I'm good. Currently speaking from Malaga, Spain. Yeah.
Amazing. And right before we got on the call, you were telling me about your journey and like how you've ended up where you are, which is just so incredible and inspiring. So I was wondering if you could recap and share with our audience, like, so you're a manifestation coach, and tell me about how you got to this point.
That sounds good. Thank you. So it all started actually 2018. I moved from the Netherlands, where I'm originally from, all the way to Australia on a working holiday visa just for adventure. And then 1 year became 5 years. So yeah, I spent there a really long time. And then during that time, I was originally, actually, I've come from a background of psychology. That's what I studied. That's what I also worked in the field for a couple of years. And then eventually I decided in Sydney to quit my job and to do nannying on the side, because it's quite big in Australia as well. And then building up like my online business, so my online community. I started sharing more on Instagram about the life abroad, like how, you start a whole new life at the other side of the world. And then from there, I started growing my audience, and there came more questions like, oh, how do you actually do it? Like with the visa, and how do you do it with, building a social life or with work? So that's how I started then also on the side, like one-on-one coaching. So just have like sessions with people on a Zoom call, and yeah, basically get them through the whole process and answer any of the questions that they had of going to Australia. And in those calls, I found that it was all about like the practical stuff. So what I just said, like visa wise and work and building a social network. But there was also a lot about mindset. So people would like tell me, I don't have this, I have this call with you right now, but actually my parents, they don't know because I'm a bit scared, like what they might think. Or I have a partner that's not really supportive, or I'm not too sure how I can do it financially. So I found that during those calls, it was, yes, all the practical stuff that I can give you, like here's the website to get a visa, or here's a website to, how you can meet people, but that it was way more about like your mindset and about your thoughts, and that it all started there, that whatever you wanted to manifest in your life, if it was like, that trip, adventure to Australia, or a certain job or relationship, like it all starts with having that right mindset. So that's how I then change slowly through more like manifestation coaching, also because I experienced it firsthand myself, because during COVID I was like stuck there as well in Sydney, and felt just really overwhelmed with everything. So I started also meditating, and then I also read, actually the first thing I read about manifestation was The Secret. You might have heard of it, like on Netflix. Yeah, I just learned more. Like I started taking courses about the manifestation practices and started more incorporating it in my life. And I saw firsthand, like, wow, I can actually really rewire my thoughts, change my thoughts in the more positive, and then I create a different reality, different outcome. So yeah, once I started seeing it by myself, I started also talking about it with my family and friends, and then that slowly started then more in also sharing it with my audience. Yeah, I think that's really powerful for a lot of people to know that you can bring your like kind of vision that you have, kind of intention, desire that you might have, that you can bring it to a manifestation by rewiring your thoughts, and that by changing those thoughts you can also then change a different outcome. It's not only that, if we just change our thoughts, because we do this through different tools. You can do it through like visualization, so you do it in meditations, through affirmations, by like really saying the things that you do desire instead of focusing on the negative and focusing on the things that you do not want. You're focusing on the things you do want. So for example, if you feel like you want to become a more confident person, you're not going to say like, I would love to be more confident. It's really saying like, I am confident. So you're claiming that actually already right now. And because you can see that the brain doesn't know the difference between what we're imagining or a real life experience. So we're tapping already into the belief that you're currently already it. So it's kind of like acting almost. So we do that through visualizations, through affirmations, also to journaling. So really writing down that version of yourself that you are already it. But then also the important thing is we can just do those practices, but it's also very important that we take aligned action, so that if the opportunity comes, then we also actually need to step out of our comfort zone, because often it's like, why doesn't, it's not manifested in my life. Well, if the opportunity comes, do we also have the courage then to step out of the comfort zone? But I can really say that doing these practices will really help you then to take that aligned action. So we don't need to like work so hard and like, why is it not coming? I need to work hard for it. No, we can actually do these practices and then trust more and like more lean in. And then life becomes a lot more magical if we understand these tools. Yeah.
I love that you're sharing this and talking about it. And what I was immediately thinking about as you were sharing this was like how much I encounter this in my work, like people saying like, I would love to come to Bali, but I couldn't leave my kids for that long, or I would love to come, but I'm too much of a beginner, or like, I would love to come, but it's like too much of a financial investment. And many of those things, in some cases, it might be like, I don't have the financial resources, but a lot of the times it's like a negative thought that we're putting on ourselves that's actually obstructing us from stepping into the fear and taking the risk and following our dream.
Absolutely. And it's so much easier to focus on that negative because the brain just wants to keep us safe. We're in that fight or flight mode. So it's so much easier to always focus on that negative. Also, if we see in our talking, like it's so much easier to gossip or to complain. But then that's the law of attraction, how it works, that what we put out is what we get back. So if we're always focused on that negative outcome, that's what we attract, that's what we get back. But if we change that, which is not easy, but that's how we then train the brain with like the previous tools that I said, then we can really overcome those more negative thoughts and focus more on the positive. Then the overwhelm or the negative thoughts, they might still come, but because of these tools, we have the ability to manage it better. Yeah. So that's very beautiful. And that's how I saw in my own life, that how I started from being in Sydney, just coming out of an 11-year relationship and like moving my whole life like in one suitcase and moving out of Sydney. I really had no choice, because all my limited beliefs were like, how can I do it alone? I can't do it financially alone. How can I live out of one suitcase? Like not really having a place to stay every month. Like, how am I going to do that? So I really had to, rewire my thoughts in like, I am capable, good things happening to me. I am able to do it financially. Like I'm confident, like all these, and then really repeating that on a daily basis. I really saw like, and then just a lot of things manifested in my life. Then life became a lot more magical. I felt like I was really, for the first time, living my authentic life, my life that felt happy and fulfilling. And I could like travel to a lot of magical places. A lot of beautiful people came onto my life, like beautiful connections. That's how I started doing the yoga teaching training, the 200 hours, and then more traveling in Europe, and also how I manifested the retreats. Because I do feel like that's really, I'm going very fast here, because I just feel like in 1.5 years, a lot of things, happen such in a quick way. But I do think because I applied this on a daily basis, it was just a lot of, beautiful things manifested in my life. Because then last January, I was sitting around a table with two of my friends. because I'm a manifestation coach and also then a yoga teacher. And then two of my friends are from Scotland and from London, and I met them in Sydney during lockdown. And they are, one of them is like a self-love coach, and the other one is a Pilates instructor and hormone health coach. So we were sitting around the table in London in January, and we were like, you know what, we should actually combine our skills and host a retreat and like bring people together, because what we have in common is that we could see that during lockdown it was, isolating, and we still had each other, and we could share our story of like missing family and being stuck. So we're like, it's so important to be surrounded by like-minded women that have similar mindset and similar values that you have, so we can really empower each other. So it started kind of like as a joke, you have a drink and you're sitting around the table, and it's like, let's maybe do this. But then it actually started more like planning, and then we actually made it happen like 2 weeks ago. So in Malaga, we decided to do a 5-day retreat for 5 days, 4 nights, and me teaching yoga and workshops around manifestations, and then around like hormone health and Pilates, and just being in nature. And it's a beautiful place in the middle of the mountains here in Malaga. And we could really see that the people, coming in pretty nerve-wracking. We have 6 beautiful girls from all around the world. We have girls flying from Australia, from the US, where you're from Switzerland, from the UK, from Egypt, from Netherlands, all by themselves. Then really seeing that transformation of like coming in, of like, oh, it's scary, but then leaving and crying and like, I don't want to leave, and like such a beautiful journey that you see people going through, that I really experienced for the first time. That I really build up now an online community as well on my Instagram, but it's still sometimes a bit hard to the community is there, but because not now you could really experience face to face. And it's like, wow, it's like that's what I came on this earth to do, to really empower people and bring them through that journey to be more present and reclaim your own power. That's the start also to much more. Like I would love to host more retreats like that, and just bring people together, either in the coaching, like empower you to just really follow your own inner voice, or to the power of yoga. So
I love that. And what I find so amazing about your story is like, when I did my yoga teacher training, which was like 10 years ago, I dreamed of doing retreats, and there was no reason why I waited 7 years to host my first retreat, because I thought that I thought that no one would want to come to my retreats, or, blah, blah, blah. I had all of this, like this story in my head. And so I love your story, because for anyone that's listening, like I'm sure there's a lot of people who have faced this. It's like a doubt in themselves, and that's really what's holding them back. And you're the proof that, you've been out of your YTT for like a couple of months. You're like, I'm going to have a retreat. And like, 6 women come from around the world, and it's incredible. It's so inspiring.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was very like nerve-wracking. At the same time, I think it helped a lot as well, doing it with 2 friends, and really, like uplifting each other of like, yeah, we are capable, we can do this. And also during the retreat, like, oh, that workshop that you did, or that yoga class, that was amazing, so that also really helped to uplift each other. And yes, there were like doubts and like, oh, is someone gonna book? But yeah, it's really still believing in your story, keep like believing in yourself, and then you will see that the energy that you give out is what you then attract. Because there wasn't really like a whole marketing plan, or we made an Instagram, and we did a bit of Instagram like advertisement, but there wasn't a lot of like strategy of like, oh, how we're gonna do this. And I feel like now we build up like also more trust. We have like a photographer that joined the retreat, so we have more content to share as well. So you can even share more like really the vision and the story that we want to send out. Yeah.
Okay, so tell me about. So you said that you were on your your nomadic journey, and you came to Bali, and like, how did you end up choosing to do the 200-hour last year?
Yeah. So it was only before the training. I was only doing yoga 3 months before. So I think like I said before, I came out of a really long breakup, and I just decided to do in the Gold Coast. I decided to do a yoga class. I was like, I think that's just a good practice to do. Let me try it out now. I remember my first class that I felt so frustrating. I can't do this. Like, I can't come in certain positions or really like stay on the mat, like have that patience. But somehow like I kept coming back and I wanted to like improve and challenge myself. And I did actually 25 class in 1 month, because it was just a subscription of like, unlimited classes, like come as you go. So I was like, wow, okay, I think I do really love it. And then I was like, I want to improve it even more, because my visa was also like running out. So I left Australia, came to Bali, and I was journaling and affirming to myself, like, I want to do something with yoga, or maybe like a retreat, because I think it will be good for me, because it was the second time for me in Bali. Like the year before, I was there with 2 friends when I was still in a relationship. Now I was there as a solo traveler, and it was like, Bali has such this healing and beautiful energy. Like, I want to do something to even more like ground myself and reconnect with myself. So I think something with a combination of like meditating and yoga would be good for me. So but then I came really across a lot of like also yoga training. So I was like, oh, there's actually also you can do like a retreat, but also like a training. And then it's like, oh, then it's maybe 2 in 1. Then I can at the end of that, like also be a yoga teacher training. Not that I really wanted to teach class like straight away. For me, it was more to just improve my practice, to reconnect with myself. And I think that's also really important. It doesn't need to have the goal of like, oh, really want to be that yoga teacher to teach in studios or whatsoever. It can be really, a way to improve your practice and to reconnect to yourself, because it's so much more. The training is so much more than just practicing yoga. Then I found actually a lot. To be honest, it's quite overwhelming in Bali. There are a lot of yoga trainings, because it makes sense, because it's there. It's really also in their locals. It's in their nature. It's what the locals also do, and yoga. So then I was really happy that I found the 2 hours to do it. I'm gonna be honest, it was intense doing it. I think before, you just have no idea what like to expect, but it's really a journey to yourself as well, like to your own values, like what do I stand for, and like how can I incorporate the yoga into my life, into the lifestyle that I'm already living. Like, you start to like question everything, but in a good way. You really take the time for yourself, like, oh, what does this all mean, like the whole philosophy behind it as well. It was intense, but the best decision I could ever make, because I think all the things that I said before, that was really the start of everything. Like, I feel like after that, so much like change. After that 3 weeks, I was like, wow, this is a whole transformation that I just went through in like just 3 weeks. But a lot of like my perspectives on life change, and just so much more. I felt so much more connected just to myself. I remember like after the training, I felt so much love just for everything, like for myself, for my family, for my friends, for the life that I created, for like really, I felt really in abundance. And I was like, okay, we're not 24/7, we can be in this state, but how can I really integrate this into my life? Yeah.
That's amazing.
So,
And tell me about, so what has made you decide to come back and do your 300 hour this October?
After the 200 hours, it was great to get really the basic of like yoga, the philosophy, the autonomy, the teaching, the basic principles, and to gain more confidence, to be honest, because I was like, teaching class was so nerve-wracking, like standing in front of a class, using your voice. Because I feel like a yoga class, it's really cool that you can use your creativity in the class, but it's also, you can create so many different. Oh, you're still there? There we go.
My Wi-Fi has kicked me off, and so now I'm just on my phone. Man, baby,
These technical issues. That's also universe, like reason for everything why it's but is the recording all still good?
So we can just cut out what we've jumped off on.
Amazing. Yeah, you were asking me about the yoga teaching, why I decided to come back. because I said like in the 200 hours was really like the basic principles, but now I'm very excited to come back to improve my practice even more, to still gain that confidence in teaching, because since then I've been, teaching a couple classes in the park, on the beach, and then the retreat, but not really like in a consistent base, because I do think that I am more born, like one of my deepest core values is freedom. So I just want to, feel free also in teaching yoga. So I'm not too sure, maybe if I gain more confidence and I experience it, I would love to also teach in studios. But maybe for me, it's more like just retreats and like on the beach and really more in a spontaneous way. But I would love to just gain more confidence in that teaching. But also learn more about giving assist, because I can feel in my classes that when someone says, look, oh, I actually have an injury, I start to like change my class for that person, but I know I need to like stick more to what I have already in my head in the class, but then having the right way to assist people. And then I also saw in the 300 hours we're going to do that, we're going to focus more on also the breathing and the meditating, because I do believe it's such a combination of everything. It's not you just start the mat and go into the practice straight away, but really that grounding in the beginning helps so much, and combine it more with your breathing. And just coming back to Bali for the third time, like I'm like, why not? It's such a beautiful place, and I feel like it's a bit of like second home now, coming back there. Ubud is a beautiful place, and I really believe that from all the traveling that I did, that doing a yoga teaching training in Bali is the best that you can do, because now I'm in Spain and in Portugal, and it is, yes, beautiful, but even there it just feels like because it's such in the nature there, and just the healing energy that you have in combination is such a beautiful way to follow your training there. Yeah.
Love that. Amazing. And I'm so excited to have you back. This 300-hour teacher training that I'm doing in October, everyone that's in it has done one of my teacher trainings before. So that's going to be really special to just all together. And if you're listening to this and you're curious about coming, so the training that Jaimy is doing in particular is an advanced training. So you would have had to do your 200-hour before, but I do 200 hours as well. And the next ones are coming up next year. But as Jaimy was mentioning, we're going to be focusing on adjustments and assists. There's going to be a module on breath work and meditation, which I think is so important for, your work and what you're talking about with helping people get into that mindset of manifestation. Like we need to be able to really, relax our nervous system and tap into our intuition and kind of have that healing process to get to that state.
Yeah.
And we're also doing yoga philosophy, a yoga sutra study. So if that interests you, if you're listening to this, that's another part of it. And then there's also a yoga and entrepreneurship module at the end. And so that's an online offering. And it's really like for people that are like, okay, I want to take this into a business. What are the next steps? And so I'm really, really, really excited about it. So if you're listening to this and you're already a yoga teacher, you should jump in and join us. You can come for like the whole month, or you could just do one of the many modules.
Yeah, amazing. I'm so excited. It's going to be so good. I know it's going to be intense again, but also knowing that, that's really what I came to do on this earth, to do the yoga and practice practice that even more, very, very excited for that. And also knowing that, after your training, you can do so much with yoga. Yes, you can, if you have an online community, you can like teach it online in one-on-one sessions, or maybe like build a course around it. You can teach in a studio, like I just said, on the beach, in the park, on retreats. There are so many ways how you can, work like as a yoga teacher. I think it's really beautiful to inspire other people, the power of yoga, because I think the beginning for me, before my first class, I really thought like, I'm not too sure, it's a bit like woo-woo, or like yoga, does that mean just like, you just sit in cross-legged seated position and meditate a lot? So I do think a lot of people might still have a bit of a misconception also about what yoga is. So I think like doing this training, it gives you so much more understanding as well.
Absolutely. So I have one more question for you, which is if you were talking to someone who's listening to this, who wants to do a yoga teacher training and come to Bali, but they're like afraid or they have some kind of like limiting belief blocking them, what would you say?
I would say try to not, I know it's hard, but try not to listen to those limited beliefs. But really like focus more on the positive scenario. And I have a beautiful practice for this. Maybe you can journal about what is the best case scenario for me, and you just start to write down all in detail, like how it would be to come to Bali and do this yoga teaching training, like every detail, like how it would feel, the people that you are surrounded with, like-minded people that you can practice together, and you know, the confidence that you will gain, the more clarity you will gain in yourself, getting to know yourself, everything for you that you actually deep down like desire, like try to focus more on that and try to read that and say that out loud. And yeah, I know that the limited beliefs are there, but try to not like, that they overtake everything. Because you will see once you step more into that energy, the things that you will then experience in Bali are going to be like so much more magical. And just the Bali is really the perfect place for it. And if it's really something that you've been keep coming back, like, oh yeah, maybe I want to do the yoga teaching training, maybe I want to do it like, this year, maybe next year, like the time is just to do it now. Like life is short, you never know, what happens next year. So if you want to do something, then I always say like, do it right now and don't hesitate, because it's really going to be the best decision of your life. Yeah.
That powerful note to end on. Jaimy, this has been amazing. I'm so excited. I'm going to see you next month.
It's going to be so soon. So good. I'm very excited. I already booked my flight, 7th of October. So I have a bit of time before the training, and then, let's get into it.
Okay. Amazing. All right. Thank you so much. And I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you so much, Alex, for having me. Thank you.